Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by Muddy Myron.
Welcome to the show, folks. It's an interesting week. Got a lot of different stuff to talk about this week as we head into Wrestlemania.
Yeah, man, we're doing WrestleMania. We're heading down there. And by the way, next week will be a special edition of the show. We won't spoil it because here's two things. One, the second we get next week's show finished, because we're going to do it prior to, we don't have to go out of order here.
Mm-hmm.
It will be released, of course, on patreon.com/tapped-out-pod. We'll drop the episode there, so you guys will probably see it before the end of the weekend, because something special we've talked about doing and heading into WrestleMania where we're running down to the wire, man. So we're going to, have our ultimate WrestleMania card show there on patreon.com/tapped-out-pod first. And then, of course, it will air next week in the usual time slot. So make sure you're getting your cards and, all your, if you remember, if not, you should be listening over at Patreon because the rules will be there so you can build your card as well. That's a lot. That's one of my favorite shows we do, and we haven't done it in a couple years. And everybody's like, oh, you're going to redo a show you did a couple years ago? Yes, because it changes. Really, it does change on a regular basis.
Yeah, you think about different things, and as you watch enough of this, you get different opinions. And I mean, just in the last year, my opinions on professional wrestling have changed dramatically, and so never thought that would happen after what? How many years? 40 years?
It happens,
being a wrestling fan?
We evolve. We change. People change. Their tastes change. Yeah.
Wow.
Shit happens. That's what I always like to say. Think people change, man.
Yeah.
But hey, look, the system itself will not change. We will kick off our show like usual. We will jump right into the weekly, TV talk section, call it whatever you weekly wrap up, whatever you want to call it. Things that stood out this week on the, the television that we watched this week. What jumped out at you, man, to start off, a little bit?
The Owens bit last night was phenomenal. Okay. Glass break, music hits, leg braces, everything. Kevin Owens storms down to the ring in a bald cap, and that place was nuts, Nick. Those people hated it.
Was that one? Here's the thing. There's going to be something else we'll address later. There were three clear signs to me. Things that were stolen from the Attitude Era. Obviously, that's one. That was very much a thing back in. You remember they would either bring out the little people, or they would spoof somebody, good or bad. I'm gonna leave that one alone.
There was that whole.
We're gonna leave it alone. Yeah, I'm saying, but it was something straight out of that playbook.
Yeah.
And like you said, man, when that music hit, the glass broke. Everybody was bananas. Everybody thought, oh my God, work.
And they did it a second time. That was the craziest thing. About midway through, they popped it again, and he looked over and just started laughing.
Yeah.
I have never been a Kevin Owens fan. I have not ever hidden that. But man, I don't know. That was a good bit. That was a real good bit.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job, especially with Kevin Owens, man. I know we weren't always big Kevin Owens, but delivered on that.
Yes.
But speaking of delivered, they're finally going to deliver. Sorry, this is my raw moment that made me completely, laughed out loud. I was like, oh my God. Veer Mahan actually has a date now, April the 4th. He will be at Monday Night Raw finally. That's
the one after Mania. So he comes in after Mania.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm liking that. We got a date. We're gonna see what the hell this is all about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now here's the problem. I think the guy's doomed from the get-go because people are going to say he can't live up to this long, drug out.
Emelina.
Could be.
God, I hate the idea that we might get another Emelina.
But here's the dumb thing. Do you remember back in the day, like we would get vignettes? Granted, there were no vignettes with him. Like there was no character build. It just kept showing, kind of that. So I know what you're saying, and I agree.
But yeah, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have the internet to prepare you and let you know everything about the next guy coming out on wrestling. where you compare yourself. You got to see Dusty riding on not a dump truck, a trash truck, and being an everyday man.
Yeah.
And you got to see Mean Gene on safari, finding different people. It was a crazy time and a beautiful time for professional wrestling, and I enjoyed that a lot. So maybe we'll see more like that.
Well, I tell you what I do want to see more of. The Miz and Logan Paul, like that whole thing, dynamic that they're bringing to the table.
Heat magnets.
Oh God, yeah. He unmasked Ray. He took the mask and basically, look, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb. He said, hey, I want Logan Paul to wear this basically next week. Logan Paul's wearing that mask out. I hate to like he will be there.
That's a really small mask.
Well, I'm going to go with say that mask was made for Logan Paul because it snatched right off pretty easy.
Yeah, it could be.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that mask was made for Logan Paul, and that's why, But anyway, I just look some old school heat, unmasked Rey Mysterio.
God, that was crazy. That's like the biggest insult you can ever do to a luchador.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm
making
excited.
Making you want to watch, and they're making me want to watch Raw again. How is that the last 2 weeks I've sat through the entire episode of Raw?
Well, I think we know the real reason, and we will discuss that with one of our questions from one of our fans in detail about why you're watching everything. One of the reasons why I enjoyed it this past week was, of course, Brock Lesnar wrecking shit with a forklift. That's number 2 of things I said taken right out of the Attitude Era, where we get the babyface drive some machinery or vehicle of some kind and wreck shit. So, and that was kind of right up Brock's. I mean,
and everybody's talking about how great he is right now. Everybody's talking about how good he is backstage. Have we been worked this entire time? Is Brock probably the greatest heel of all time? Because everybody thought he was an asshole, even away from it. He made you think he was a horrible
Is he the best
being?
worker ever? And what I mean by work, did he work everybody?
Yes, I think he might have. And he works good. And okay, no one was able to make people hate him as much as Brock, except maybe Cena, but Cena wasn't trying. And then all of a sudden it's turned around now. Brock's the most popular person on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I never saw this Lesnar. I love this Lesnar. This is somebody I'm interested in. I mean, I always loved him as the bad guy that, never came out but once or twice a year. But this is so different. I'm enjoying it.
I agree. And then, then we jump over to SmackDown a little bit. And I want to bring up like the Charlotte Ronda Rousey thing. Is there a segment that I like that I see more people dump on the internet than this, than this rivalry with everybody's like, oh, it's, it's lackluster. It's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've seen some really cool segments and I dig it. Now, Grace, I'm fans of both of them. I know Ronda Rousey gets, whatever. A lot of people aren't fans of her, but I'm a huge fan of her, especially in the wrestling world. Charlotte, look, how many times have we said it? Charlotte, to me, is the best female wrestler on the planet. Yeah.
If that changes, it will be Charlotte that changes it, not anybody else. She will, if something happens to her, that will be or she does something, that'll be the only way that changes. I don't think anyone will ever take that away from her.
I would probably agree with that.
That good.
I think she's better than most of the men.
Yes.
So it's, and I don't mean that in a good, I mean, I think she's literally the best woman wrestler on the planet. And I get it. Everybody's going to be like, oh, well, what about XYZ? Okay, I understand. But speaking the best, like I wanted to ask you, because it's come down, you talked about how we've watched the last few weeks, we've been sucked in and watched 3 hours of Raw. And it's kind of hard at the end of the week to jump, because, I mean, for how long was it SmackDown was by far and away the best WWE product on TV?
I had the most viewers.
Well,
people voted with their eyes.
Well, I don't know if I ever buy that, because the Fox thing, they're always going to have an advantage. I just meant from what I purely enjoyed, just sitting there watching beginning to end. There's been a couple of weeks where I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, Raw pretty good. I mean, they've had, all of the matches were pretty good. I think, listen, I argue The Usos, to me, and how many times have we said, the Usos are the best, in my opinion, the best pure tag team in wrestling.
Currently.
Not WWE, wrestling.
Currently, yes.
But I find the Raw tag team scene more entertaining than I do the SmackDown tag team scene right now. With Randy
Orton. You got a lot of
Orton.
variety on Raw. They can run out Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Things like that.
Street Profits, Alpha Academy. I mean, on and on. They've got some teams.
And RK Bro. God, I still love them.
Yeah. The main events, by the way, I have felt like that when it comes to the main event matches, I mean, here's the thing, by the way. They have strutted Seth Rollins out there for 2 weeks in a row in main events against Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. And,
that match was phenomenal.
Yeah. They've done Finn and Damian Priest. And, I mean, they've done some, look, are there some stinkers on Raw like you might not enjoy? Okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's, it wasn't for you, right? Like we always say. Now, listen, easily Brock and Roman's the best storyline running, but the Raw has the perk of it's kind of running there too. So you kind of get it on both shows, but the focus point, Roman being mainly on SmackDown, like they have the best story there on SmackDown. So, but overall, man, listen, lots of interesting stuff, lots of things, taking us down the road to WrestleMania, and like you said, look, because of the Cody Rhodes stuff, which we'll address here shortly, they got us watching Raw for 3 hours, it feels like every week.
Yeah.
Which is just stunning, so.
Yeah, and you got the crazy thing, I tuned into AEW this week on DVR. I watched it Sunday night, actually, to see the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker cage match. Even though I knew the outcome, I heard it was so good, I should watch it. I missed it, the original run. God damn, Britt Baker's a blading fiend. And she's good at it, too.
Yeah.
She's good at it. And that, because you got to have blood in the cage match. That's the thing I can't stand about WWE right now is nobody bleeds in the cage match. Cage matches, people should bleed. It's just part of it. Your face and the metal. Your face always meets the metal. How do you not bleed? Thunder Rosa, we just talked about Charlotte being the best. Thunder Rosa is doing some damn amazing shit, and I think she is the best women's wrestler not on the WWE roster right now. And she might even be the second best women's wrestler in the world.
Right. She's
convincing. She wrestles everywhere too, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
She's not just on AEW, she's everywhere. Her travel pictures, Jesus Christ, she's all over the country. All over Mexico too.
I hated to see she was going to have to give up one. I know one of her belts she's going to have to give up because of AEW 6 or 8, but
Yeah.
So,
and then our good old hero Chris Jericho came out on AEW and introduced himself as what?
He's not a wrestler. He's a sports entertainer.
Woo! How do you generate heat on AEW?
Listen, those people hate everything about WWE except released wrestlers. So,
yeah.
I mean, listen, here's the thing. I know he's filed for the trademark. I think he's going to lose that.
Sports entertainer?
WWE can say they've been using that term for years in pro wrestling, blah, 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 whatever. I don't even know if it matters. If he gets it or not, it doesn't matter.
It's just fun, though.
It is funny. He's like, I'm better than your wrestlers. I'm a sports entertainer, Again, the digs are there, and I think it's a very smart move. But so absolutely, Jericho's money, especially when he comes to that kind of stuff. So, but
speaking of money, Josh Alexander being back on the Impact is so good. Working with Moose now, good stuff.
Yeah, I think, like I said, we talked about it a week ago or so that it was hands down. We were really disappointed when he got. His contract ran up and he got the whole visa thing, and we thought he was going to be gone, but kudos to them for bringing him back. I mean,
I'd rather see him there than anywhere. I mean, the AEW roster, God bless, is so packed, like to the point they can't even get enough. And that's one of our topics later on. They can't get enough people on the regular show.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you know what? I bet they'll figure it out.
Yeah. And you know where else you can place your bets, Myron?
Where's that?
Prize Picks.
You still working on this?
It's 2 minutes to kickoff. Who do I pick?
2 words, Prize Picks. It's so easy. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's just you against the numbers. Simply pick the over-under on 2 or more players, and that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money in just one day. Join over 150,000 people who found a better way to play. Download the Prize Picks app today and get your first deposit match up to $100.
That's right, man. Get it in. Use that referral code. It is in the show notes everywhere and anywhere. They're matching up to $100 on your first deposit, man.
$100?
Put 100 in, they're going to give you 100 to go with it so you can bet. Actually, it's 100 promo dollars on there. I've done it, and I love it, man. I've been playing I've been hooked and been playing ever since. NBA season's really, really, really fun. So.
I bet there's a ton of promo bets on NBA games.
Oh, the prop bets are over-unders on points, rebounds, assists, stoles, double-doubles, all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. I've had a really good week, or a couple of weeks, to say the least, in there. So somebody's even asked me, like, hey, I openly tell people there's somebody that I follow on their Patreon that they do these picks or whatever, and that's kind of how it done so well. And somebody was like, oh, you should share them. I'm like, anyway. So that kind of defeats the point of, right?
That's the point of Patreon.
Right. I do it because, I support that guy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So our good friend Ronnie from Centennial, Colorado wants to know, do you think the way they are building Rollins versus Cody at WrestleMania, do you like the way, sorry, I got it caught up my tongue. Do you like the way they're building Rollins versus Cody at WrestleMania, but not before on Raw? Are they building that?
Yeah. I mean, clearly it seems like that's the direction they're going.
They're building something, but how do we know it's Cody?
Listen, again, if you believe everything that you've read at this point, now everybody's saying, oh, he has signed. He signed it 2 weeks ago. I mean, they've just been keeping it hush hush, and they've been running, figuring out how they're going to. I'm like, they're talking about putting him on a private plane to bring him in versus, commercial or public transportation, so nobody sees him coming in or whatever. And that's a cool. Like, I appreciate what they're going out, But here's the thing: people are crapping on it about the way, like what we talked about earlier. Like, man, I've watched Raw for 3 hours and I was waiting for Cody to come out and he never came out. Like, this is just stupid and blah blah blah. I'm like, isn't it kind of your fault because they've not advertised him at all?
Mm-mm.
We discussed it last week. Here's part of the other issue. I enjoy the show, so I preface that. But something kind of chewed at me a little bit the other day of Mark Henry and Dave LaGreca were basically crapping on that. Saying, like, I watched Raw for frickin' 3 hours and he never came out. And it was like, okay, but what? Look, and I always try to include us, and I'm not saying we're in their category, league, whatever you want to say. But when you have people who, A, have influence, B, feel like they have influence, and they say that type of thing, like, think about it this way. Like, they're sitting there telling you should be angry that he didn't show up. So then they have a fan base who gets pissed off that he didn't show up. Well, and then guess what? Then they do it again next week, and it gets even worse. And then you got to, like, it's kind of the same philosophy I say about Meltzer shits on a match, and then all of his, the people that religiously read his art, whatever, they crap on it because now eventually you're brainwashed into this is what a good match is and this is what a bad, etc. So I just always tell people, like, I think that people getting angry and then people in those positions to tell you should be angry are missing the boat because they not once have they said he would be there. By the way, they've done exactly what they should be doing, is keeping people watching it from beginning to end.
That might be a more powerful tool to get people to watch all the WrestleManias all the Raws before WrestleMania. I've been waiting until that little logo shows up right there in the corner because it's over then.
Right.
It's not over till the logo shows up.
Right.
But I don't pretend I'm a wrestling influencer. I tell people my opinions on things. If you want to listen to them, fine. That's your decision. But I've enjoyed the way this is going. they're clearly enjoying the way this is going. And if they can do a Hardy Boys, what I always want to call them, Hardy Brothers, a Hardy Boys return at Mania. Remember when the Hardys music kicked on at WrestleMania, and how everybody in there went nuts when they were up at the top of the ramp and then ran down, folks. Does Cody have that? Oh, God. I don't think he does.
I think you're going to be stunned. 3 weeks ago, I was completely in agreement and on board with you. Cody Rhodes, by not being there for 3 weeks, has built up the anticipation. And here's what's crazy. Everybody knows I'm a big Eric Bischoff mark. And you know, like a lot of what he says makes perfect sense when you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He talks about anticipation, the build and the want for something to happen. Think about it now, they would have built this at this point for 4 weeks before they get to Mania.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If Rollins is out there in that ring, because he's got nothing now, and he's got like some challenge because he refuses for a WrestleMania to happen and him not have a match. And frickin' Cody, like, here's the first thing. I don't know what music they're going to do. They got to come up with something.
Well, because, yeah, does anybody want to remember what the hell the Stardust music was?
I don't think, obviously, they're not going to go that route. They're going to have something else. But I think on a big, giant screen, like American Nightmare, because, oh, by the way, my only knock from a business perspective that I've ever said, and I get it, and I know why, Cody can call himself whatever the hell he wants wherever he goes because AEW didn't trademark it. He did. Yeah. All of his stuff he owns. From my understanding, by the way, if I'm wrong.
Well, he also brings back all those names, all those pay-per-view names if he comes back.
Well, no. I don't mean like that. I mean for him personally, like his character. Guess what he'll be able to be again? Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
He'll be Cody Rhodes. He can be the American Nightmare because Vince could probably sit down. They probably signed, because like a lot of people don't realize, like for example, AJ Styles' deal, whatever. They basically have the rights to his name while he's employed there.
That's everybody's deal.
Well, no, they usually give you a name so they own it forever. Yeah. So like, you know, AJ, when he leaves, if he ever leaves and he goes to another company, obviously he can still be AJ Styles. Okay. That's what I meant by it. So Cody can go back. Okay, and he can be Cody Rhodes. I get what you're saying. Okay. He can be the American Nightmare, blah, blah, blah. But if he ever left, he would still own that. So he could still be that when he left. But while he's there, he can't go off and do, because they own kind of like while he's there. It's a weird, anyway. Yeah, man, I think if he walks out at WrestleMania, like if his name, like American Nightmare, and it pops up on the screen, that'll be the pop.
Neck tattoo.
Something. Honestly, it'll probably be the logo, and it'll probably be the red, white, and blue logo. Boom, American Nightmare.
What if he comes out in polka dots, Nick?
Fucking, I would laugh. That would be awesome. How awesome would that be? People can say what they want, but that would just be awesome in my opinion. But yeah, I think there is the potential there, but believe it or not, to be a WrestleMania, like a Hardy pop. That's just my opinion. So
okay, cool. Well, let's go on to see what Terrell from Eastvale, California wants to know. And this is something we have argued about for a while. Do you think Money in the Bank should still be held at WrestleMania like it debuted and not on its own pay-per-view? Well, I detest pay-per-views named after a match. Okay? Hell in a Cell is a match, not a pay-per-view. Tables, Ladders, and Chairs is a match. And Money in the Bank is a match, not a pay-per-view. Royal Rumble? Exception. Because it's the majority of the show. But the thing about this is, put it on the show and see what happens. Because how about an instantaneous cash in? You get the case on night one, cash it in night two.
Oh, you could cash it in later in the show for that matter. So I agree. The easy, quick answer, I always, when I tried to have this first conversation, it was like, oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's you can get more guys in a match, and you know, and it's not the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I mean, you can throw them in a match that really matters. You know, I know they used to have it at WrestleMania, like when it debuted and everything. That made sense. Plus, didn't it used to be like it was at Mania and you had to use it before the next Mania?
Yeah, already expired.
That was the clock. So, but now my thing is, so now is it from Money in the Bank to Money in the Bank? Is that the window?
I don't know. I haven't noticed that, or I hadn't paid attention enough to know if it's going to be like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see the way they handle things as far as if you put it on Mania. Mania's even 2 nights is still crowded. Okay, they got a men's and a women's battle royal on the Mania. Maybe you get rid of those.
Those are like you do those on the pre-show or whatever, the battle royals or whatever. But here's my thing: where you're talking about you want to shave it. Edge, AJ, Cody, Rollins could all be in a Money in the Bank match. So that basically takes multiple matches and meshes it into one, and it's all name value in the match.
Oh yeah, those ads would be killer. Seeing all those faces and the briefcase. Yeah, okay, I get that. I get that.
Now, the main reason I always say no is because now you have 2 Money in the Bank because you have a women's ladder match, Money in the Bank match. So now if it's held at WrestleMania, you got 2 of them at WrestleMania, and you're already gimmicked enough a lot as far as WrestleMania is. Plus, let's be blunt, man. They had the big 4 back in the day. Now they're trying to go like to a big 6 pay-per-views. Like they're trying to get, and Money in the Bank's one of those ones that they try to. I mean, think about it, they're doing travel packages and all that kind of crap. Because isn't it in Las Vegas this year, like coming up here? Or something?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, you know, they could kill King of the Ring if they're not going to do it right.
Well, it wasn't a pay-per-view though. It was just they were doing that crap. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like Money in the Bank, they're doing it like travel packages and the crap like they do Survivor Series and Mania and Rumble, all that. So so if you're trying to go that, I understand wanting it to stand alone. If there's a match, like I said, I don't think Hell in the Cell should be a standalone pay-per-view. The Money in the Bank especially being 2 of them, I think that's how you justify it being a separate pay-per-view. Even though I liked it originally on Mania.
If they had a Hell in a Cell Hell in a Cell, every damn match on the card's Hell in a Cell. You know, they had that one pay-per-view where they did 3 or 4 of them, and it was good. But you should have more than just 1 or 2 Hell in a Cells. You got to get
Impact Lockdown. Just that simple, right? There's just saying. But you know, but lots of stuff coming up in the future with them, and they've got a huge thing coming up for WWE sooner than later.
Okay. Our friend Wade from my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama, wants to know, what kind of success do you think that Gable Stevenson will have? Well, let's see, who else went to Minnesota? Brock Lesnar. And tell me about tell me about this Gable fellow's history, Nick.
Well, I mean, like literally this past weekend, won another NCAA championship, which makes him back-to-back. Oh, by the way, he won a gold medal in the Olympics. And, you know, look, if there's anything we can say, you can criticize WWE about how they build their stars and whatever. And their past, they've had 2 guys that you would say fit this mold. That is Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. They did pretty good with those 2.
Yeah.
And
he seems like he's got a lot of personality and charisma.
Yep.
I've watched it. He's got the tattoos. He's got the look. I mean, he's a big old boy. So let's see.
Well, amongst anything, here's the thing that I think is most important. Anybody who can achieve that kind of success, we're talking gold medal in the Olympics and 2 NCAA championships back to back, has a work ethic to probably be successful in damn near anything they do.
Okay.
Especially when it's a physical, aspect of it. Because I can see it this way. I would not be stunned to see a Brock Gable Stevenson, feud. And how nuts would that be?
Oh, wow. That would be awesome. And the thing is, guys, this is part of that NIL type program thing they're doing. Okay? You get a college athlete who's coachable, and you bring them out there and you teach them wrestling, okay? As opposed to somebody who has bad habits from years on the indie circuits. Not bashing the indie circuits, but this is a raw product right off the assembly line, ready to go. You teach him what you need him to know.
Mm-hmm.
You teach him what he needs, and he will probably listen. You put him with Tom Pritchard. You put him with some of those other guys that you can bring in. Jesus Christ, he'll be insane. Okay, he will be insane. I love seeing this kind of thing.
Yeah, and he is Raw, and apparently the rumors are that's where he's going to be is on Raw, and they're going to give him a push right out of the gate because why the hell would you not? I would think he appears that he has personality, like you said, based on his his actions and behaviors and his interviews at the championships and stuff. But we're going to see it when we get him in there, But the kid's future, his future is bright to say the least. I'm really high on the guy. And like I said, I think the sky's the limit for him, and his future is awesome.
Well, I protect my future with who?
Woodman Life.
Life insurance may be the best way to provide financial security for your loved ones after you're gone. But what's the right type of life insurance to have? Which do you need, whole or term life insurance? The answer may surprise you. You may want both, because you have both short-term and long-term financial goals. Both types will help you leave something behind for your family. In general, it's more affordable to buy term insurance to cover short-term expenses and whole life insurance to cover long-term expenses if you passed away. Talk to a Women Life representative today.
Well, all right, brother. Well, let's keep it rolling, man.
Hey, back to the grind. Leo from Aventura, Florida. Last week, you guys mentioned how you feel the AEW title isn't a major focal point for the promotion. Do you still think it appears that? Sorry. Do you still think that it appears when it? Nick, I'm sorry. This cold has thrown me off bad.
That's right. Basically, just with Cole and Page, do we still feel the same way? Essentially, is the question there.
You gonna do it again? We're gonna do it again.
Run it back. Isn't that what they say?
Was it that good a feud to do again? Do we need to see this again?
I just don't know if they have anywhere else to go. Maybe that's the problem. And by the way, Leo, thanks for the question. I absolutely still think that. We sat down before we started, Myron, and we said, look, this is a complicated one to answer. I've interviewed Hangman Page. I'm a huge fan of Hangman Page. Doesn't mean much of anything other than the fact that I feel there are more important things than the title picture on AEW right now.
Well, when you look at SmackDown, you basically start every SmackDown with Roman Reigns, the champion. Okay? They do bits where they wreck cars. Brock Lesnar wrecks the car the champion's in. They put all this focus on it. AEW, you've got so much going on, and it's good stuff going on. I don't mean to minimize it, but this
isn't the knock on Page, the title, or whatever. It's that there's just more importance. It's not the most important thing. We dumped all over this, by the way, when WWE did it with Big E.
Yeah.
But now, so it's a very similar thing. I mean, but when we ran down the list, like, we think the women's title is more important right now.
Jesus Christ.
And they're
going to put blood out on it.
Well, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, main evented and put on a heck of a match. I think CM Punk versus anybody who he ends up with is going to be more important. The Jericho storyline is more important, in my opinion. Obviously, they're treating like the Hardys on Sting and Darby, that whole storyline. MJF versus Wardlow / anybody. Moxley, Danielson, and Regal, that storyline feels more important because they're bigger stars.
That's amazing. That storyline is amazing. I saw that, and I was just like, oh, God, this is so cool. Because I was always a big Regal fan, okay? Regal was the guy that could legitimately hurt people. Regal's the guy that tied up Goldberg and shot on him, okay? So you got the bad guy, and you got the technician, and are they heels? But are they faces? But if they're heels, this is going to be an awesome group. I'm going to watch for that.
For that reason alone, yeah.
Yes.
So that's our problem. I say it's not a knock on. Is it more of a praise on the things we mentioned that feel more important, or is it a damnation of the title? Let us know at tappedoutpod@gmail.com, because I don't know.
They're saturated.
There's so many. I felt like at this point, I think it would do more good to move on from Page and put that on somebody in one of those other. Like, oh, they don't need the title. They don't. But you know what the sad part is, Myron? Sometimes the title might need somebody. And I think that's what the situation we're in. And it's again, not a damnation of Hangman Page. That's just my opinion. So, anyway.
Okay, well, let's go on to see what Tony from Dearborn Heights, Michigan wants to know. Do you think with Tony Khan announcing that Lethal, Moriarty, and FTR are on the Ring of Honor Supercard, is that the beginning of it basically becoming AEW 2.0? Well,
no.
Okay.
It's an easy answer in my opinion. No. Look, he's already mentioned, right, that it's going to be developmental. That's his goal. But if you've listened to our show long enough to understand, I enjoy the WWE NXT 2.0 developmental. I love especially the fact that I think they're going to use like stars to go back to help. Ring of Honor being, used as a developmental, I still think you need some of the old guard. We've heard talks. He's looking at bringing in Gresham in. He's already got Lethal. He'll keep putting guys together. I think you need some of that type of talent to keep the brand loyal Ring of Honor fan happy.
Yeah, you can do that. You can keep Ring of Honor alive. Okay, keep their talent there. There's a lot of good talent there. Okay.
Well, technically, there's none there.
Well,
right
yes.
now, but...
Okay, yes. Technically, there is none, but they have their old standbys that they can use. They can put on shows people want to see. I know Heath just like popped for the Briscoes versus FTR. His perspective. I think that's really cool that you're getting dream matches somewhere in these cards. You're going to get an interesting program there. It's going to get you something. I think this will do better than Ring of Honor was doing. Okay.
I've heard mentioned. I think he said he's still going to run the weekly TV show, which I'm really curious to see how the hell that's going to happen. Like, when does he shooting that? Where is he shooting? Is it going to be in Orlando? Are they going to shoot that with?
Is it going to take the place of Rampage? Which, I mean,
no,
they're sticking Rampage.
No, he on the old channels, on the Sinclair channels, like the old weekly show that they've always had. Apparently, he's going to try to keep it running. So,
the one I could never find.
It's like midnight on Saturday or something like that. Or one of them. It's on like the WB or whatever that channel used to be or whatever.
Okay, folks. Yeah.
My ATL. That's what it's called. Sorry, I had to think about it. Maybe. Anyway, I can't even remember. I've come across it from time to time. But like I said, look, the Briscoes being there. Look, here's a fine line we walk. I was listening to Jarrett and Conrad talk about the thing, and the next question we talk about, by the way, they were discussing it, and it was kind of like, look, there's baggage there, but they're super talented. They're Ring of Honor tag champions. Like somebody's like, well, they got to lose the belts if they're gonna, if Tony Khan's gonna. I'm like, not if they're not on TNT or TBS. Briscoes can stay tag champions. They don't have to drop the belts to FTR. Do I think they will? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think they have to? No.
And what's FDR doing? I mean, I thought they had a feud with the Young Bucks going on, but I don't know.
You turned your back one week and they were gone. Yeah.
A lot of tag teams.
Yeah. So to answer your question, like, I don't believe so. I don't, but then again, it very much could be. The model does sound very NXT 2.0 in some senses, but but we'll see. There's only time will tell, right? So.
And this next topic is something that's near and dear to me, and it's kind of tough. Norman from Harlingen, Texas asks, did you guys see the NWA Crockett Cup? And if so, what were your thoughts? Well, no. It was $50. I worked this weekend, and it was $50. I had trouble justifying it. I love the NWA. I love what they're doing. But yeah, it's just too much for what to me. Too rich for my blood, you know what they say. But they didn't do very well at the gates, apparently.
Well, debatable, right? Night 1, night 2. Like, we did joke about, the first night was 200 or under is some of the words that you hear, some of the feedback you hear. And I was
natural.
Yeah, and it was like funny because, Gary Lamb, friend of the show, actually commented on, on social media, like, under 200. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, there are shit shows in Georgia that draw 200.
Oh yeah. Every time they run.
They're bad shows that draw. And I'm not even talking about there's just shows that like stuns you, right?
Yeah.
Now they did do 410 the next night supposedly. But then there's a comeback. And this is, by the way, this is not a slight. This is a positive. Like 2 shows in a row, Southern Honor's drawn over 500. And you're telling me that NWA with Nick Aldis, Matt Cardona, Jeff Jarrett was in the building, the Briscoes, all the list of those other tag teams that were there, Camille defending the NWA women's title. I mean, just you go through the list of people that were at this show, you're like,
and fucking awesome talent.
410 was your peak?
And I looked, and Gary had mentioned that, and I went back and forth with him a little bit. Billy is an artist, not a businessman. Okay? If we're going to talk about Southern Honor has Gary, who's a promoter, a professional promoter. Okay? Who is promoting for them at NWA?
Let me ask you this, Myron. Do they need to go back to YouTube and ditch this fight system?
Well, I'm still on the fight system. I'm still buying the things.
Yeah.
They are doing another. They're going to come out with more YouTube stuff. They are.
But my opinion, I feel they would be better off with a YouTube with the membership, like
Impact has.
Yeah, something like that. I think might help them more than being on the Fight app.
I love the easy access of the YouTube stuff. Okay, yeah. YouTube is not an extra app. Everybody has YouTube. Okay, everybody knows where YouTube is. You have to find it, and you don't have to put your credit card in on multiple apps. If you want to buy it on YouTube, you're there. I'm already a premium member, so I don't have to see ads. I think it's a great place to watch wrestling and stuff like that. The $50 show, oof. So that's $25 for 2 nights. $25 a night.
Yeah, so
not bad when you look at it that way.
It really wasn't, and which is kudos to AEW that they're getting those those $50 pay-per-view buys. Lots of them apparently over 100,000 plus. Because my argument is, being WWE fans and getting all the pay-per-views as part of your network for $4.99 now is what you're essentially getting. It's really tough. Yeah.
Spoiled rotten to know I don't have to pay for WrestleMania because I'm already paying for it as part of my deal with the Peacock, which I go upstairs and my girlfriend is burning the Peacock network up on the TV in the living room. Okay? Because they're watching Peacock stuff up there. Well, how many damn SVUs did we watch together the last week? Peacock. Watching Peacock all the time. We would have probably bought Peacock if WWE hadn't have been on it.
Right.
Deals are the best thing you can get. Now, Tony Khan we talked about a HBO Max deal for him. That's gold right there. Okay.
If it happens, that's the thing. If it happens, for sure. Yeah. So,
I mean, it's not going to be $1 billion deal like Vince got, but it could be a very lucrative deal for a young company. NWA, I don't know what to tell you. I love the people. I love the wrestling, but man, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. Well, if you don't want to be disappointed by missing one of our shows, one of our episodes, any of the specials that we put out, make sure you're subscribing anywhere and everywhere, whether it be Apple Podcast, iHeartMedia, Spotify, Amazon Music, hell, anywhere. Anywhere there's a podcast platform, we're probably there. So make sure you're checking that out and giving us a 5-star rating review. Of course, over on YouTube, you not just want to subscribe, you want to click that little bell to make sure you get notifications every time a new thing drops. Dropped 2 matches last week on the that's right. Within the last week, you got a show and 2 matches, locally. that got dropped on there. And same thing, man. You know, the other place you want to be, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Get the show early and off, especially like we talked about, like next week's. We're going to try to wrap that up here in the next couple days and then get that uploaded. So next week's episode will be early. That'll be over there, like I said, super early. Where we're going to do our Ultimate WrestleMania card.
Something you got to see to believe. This is one of the hardest shows ever to put together. I have my picks in. I've just got to organize them. And did that on like a Saturday night or a Sunday night. And it took me like 2 hours just to review my old picks, get my new picks, and go from there.
Yep. Before we get out of here, I do want to do two things. I have a couple notes for stuff that's happening locally. Make sure you're going to your desktop. A friend of the show did me a massive favor. If you head on over to tappedoutvwrestlingpodcast.com, tappedoutpod.com, check out the website. It's a little bit of a redesign. There's some new stuff coming. There's still more stuff coming on the back end where the podcast will be a little bit different. Once you see it, it'll just kind of blow your mind. It's colored. It's a little eye-catching more than the old one that I was doing personally. It was about as basic as it could get. Now, of course, it's got a little more color and a little flash to it. But things will be changing as, the weeks go on. They'll be upgrading them and updating them. But speaking of updating and upgrading, you want to talk about an upgrade? Southern Honor Wrestling announces that their April show is a free show. That's right, free. There will be a donation bucket essentially there. So you'll be able to make a donation if you want to help, just help the guys, pay the talents and stuff that are there, just to throw a little extra their way. But man, a free Southern Honor show just basically it's a thank you show to all the fans who've made them, the premier promotion in the state of Georgia for,
COVID.
Yeah.
The gas prices. It's been a hell of a year trying to get people to come out to wrestling shows. We ran one. It's a hell of a year to get people to come out to wrestling. We did okay, but Southern Honor has consistently drawn the biggest crowds. Always awarded the best promotion. Loyal fans that travel from long distances to see the shows. I appreciate this. I'm going to say you're welcome. If this is a thank you, I want to say you're welcome. Thank you for giving me a place to go and enjoy wrestling like this. And I don't think anyone else has ever done this at such a level. Folks, pack that place out. Okay, just pack that place out. Set a record. You'll never know what's going to happen at that show. Who's going to show up?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
We got a friendly wager on what it'll draw, and we'll see what happens.
Yes.
But that's a couple weekends away down the road. You'll keep watching the show. Obviously, there'll be more information about that show as it gets closer. But this weekend,
yes,
is the last stop on the highway to hardcore hell at Anarchy Wrestling up there, in the Landmark Arena, at, the house that AJ Styles built. It's been there forever and it's legendary. Funny thing was, I just drove by it yesterday. I had to go for a work appointment. I went right by it. And it just kind of made me chuckle when I go by there now. But Anarchy Wrestling, man, tons of stuff going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's Hardcore Hell is probably one of my favorite. Every promotion's got their big show. And Hardcore Hell is one of my favorites. God, this is such a awesome deal. So much drama. I mean, they had 300 in that place last time. It was basically standing room only. Hot crowd. Oh God, I can't wait to Saturday night. I've had to miss wrestling for like 3 weeks in a row because of different things going on, work and that kind of stuff. I can't wait. Hardcore Hell, Landmark Arena, Saturday night. Look into it, people. It's going to be some good stuff. Some real good stuff.
Yeah.
The program. You got the program after Mason lost his title. What's going to happen? A lot of good videos out. They do great vignettes for that. Lots of talent on this show, folks. Lots of people who are veterans. Lots of people who are up-and-comers. You're going to get everything. And on top of that, Nick Halen finds out if he gets his match with Sour at Hardcore Hell. And if you know what that means, if you know those two guys and how great that match would be, please, can you get it? Please, Mr. Commissioner?
Is Nick Halen's Anarchy's equivalent to Seth Rollins needing a match at WrestleMania. Nick Halen needs a match at Hardcore Hell.
Yes.
And damn it, give him a match. And he's put it out there who he wants.
Yeah.
And let's make it happen. So, because that would be Nick Halen missing Hardcore Hell would be like Seth Rollins missing WrestleMania, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. How is it? We know all these guys, but I still get so excited for things like this. The drama of it. I can't wait. Saturday night, I cannot wait.
Lots of drama up there, like you said. Program what's going to happen. Who's going to face them in the, for those tag titles. Does Scott Mason get a return match? Does he want a return match against Joe Black? Might be a better question, I guess.
Yes.
Amongst other things. You look, Will Caution and Jeter, that's coming to a head. We're going to see that at Hardcore Hell. I mean, just so many just so many pieces still coming together. Like the House of Hanson, what's going to go down with that, and and Ashworth, and it's just piece after piece. Like we always say, like when you get to this last stop, the reason if you're heading up there and you don't want to miss Hardcore Hell this week, or you don't want to miss Anarchy this weekend, because it will completely set the table for you for Hardcore Hell.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
all roads will finally be set to that. Hey, we're going there, and this is what you're going to get.
Yes.
So we will be there. So we hopefully we'll see you there as well.
I've already bought my Hardcore Hell tickets.
Oh.
Okay, or our Hardcore Hell tickets, because I wanted to make sure, because after that crowd that showed up for that show, and like Rodney's like, get in there and get a seat. I ran in there and got us a couple seats.
Yeah, it was
last
one we made. It was wild. So
yeah,
absolutely want to make sure you're checking it out there. Make sure you're subscribing, 5-star reviews, like, subscribe, and turning your notifications on YouTube. Check out the new website. Keep the email questions coming, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Amongst every other thing we've thrown at you this episode, we also want to say thank you as we're heading down the road to WrestleMania and amongst the Hardcore Hell, etc.
Yes.
Look, we still look. We try to be there for you every week to answer those questions. And like I said, we're going to let the mailbag build back up a hair by doing that special episode next week. And if you're curious, by the way, I'm going to throw the rules out there so people can send them in, their submissions to, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. It's real simple, guys.
No, it's not.
The rules are simple. I didn't say it was easy. The rules are simple. You basically have to take from the 37 prior WrestleManias, you're going to build your card out of matches that actually happened, by the way. A wrestler can only wrestle once. That's a key. You can't use the same wrestler in two matches. You can't use two matches of the same wrestler, let me put it that way. Every title has to be defended. That is we classify, by the way, the WWE Championship is the linear championship they've always had. The WCW that world title they had, the big gold belt / Universal, counts as one, because to me that's essentially the same what they did. Intercontinental, US, tag titles are both Raw, SmackDown, or both. If anything, just one tag team title match, one women's match, not a Raw and a SmackDown, one women's match. And then you get 2 attraction matches of any kind of yours, that you want to throw in there. And that's kind of your gambit of choices. If you got any clarifications, you can always email tappedoutpod@gmail.com, and I'll try to respond back to you as quick as possible. But build your WrestleMania card, Ultimate WrestleMania card, that way. And you can go back and search in the archives and see old episodes where we've done this. But one change of one match causes the dominoes. I found out doing my list this year. Changing one match is a domino effect that can literally change almost your entire card. So it's a tough challenge, but I think you guys will, rise to the occasion and get some good cards. And that's just hopefully that's what it gets anyway.
Awesome.
You got anything else, man, before we get out over here?
No, man. I think I got everything out. I love this time of year. Springtime started officially on Sunday. My wrestling love is in full bloom. I'm ready to go see some shows, and I'm ready to watch some pay-per-views.
Well, man. Well, if that's everything, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.